There we go. Um, Thanks for coming, everybody. I'm glad that I'm able to share this short presentation with you all about my career as a meteorologist. I've been in the career of meteorology since 2002, so it's going on 10 years already. So I have a little bit of a story to share, and I will go ahead and start. Um, I don't know how many meteorologists you know, but I'm sure a lot of them can think back as far as when they remember they were first interested in meteorology and when they first decided they wanted to be a meteorologist. And for me, it was in grade school. And I just knew for sure I'd be a meteorologist. But of course, in grade school, you have no idea what uh, large amount of calculus and physics you're going to encounter. So it was kind of a dream, but didn't really ever think it would happen. In high school, I was very interested in tracking severe weather, and during my physics course, my senior year in high school, I just loved the weather unit, which helped kind of fuel my interest in everything about weather. When I started out as a freshman in college, however, I started out at Truman State University in Kirksville, Missouri, and they did not have a meteorology major, so I pretty much chose to go with a different level of interest, a different subject of interest that I thought I could maybe better academically manage, and that was psychology. And obviously, it's a lot different than meteorology. So, as I got started in psychology, I realized quickly that I was not um, I was not the kind of person that was going to be able to read a lot and memorize a lot and do that kind of a subject. So I began to think about what I could do to get back into what I thought I should be doing with my life, and that was meteorology. So I took a class at Truman State University, a meteorology class, just a basic kind of I think it was a 200 level physics course, and I think I got an A or an A plus in it or something. It was extremely manageable, and I really enjoyed it. So I decided, well, this maybe is my sign that I need to go ahead and major in meteorology. But at that point, I needed to figure out where to go because Truman State does not offer a meteorology degree. So um, as a sophomore, I sought transfer, and I was an Illinois resident at the time, so um, it made sense to try and focus on the state of Illinois just because of the enormous cost difference if I were to go out of state. So because of my Illinois residency status, I talked to the Liberal Arts and Sciences department and figured out that they offered a Bachelor of Arts degree in meteorology, which was somewhat odd. But I went ahead and went with it and wrote my curriculum with an advisor and went through the meteorology program there at the time that was offered for undergraduates. I put a note on here that we'll come back to in a little bit that it was important at the time. I wish I would have known, but I did not realize fully that the coursework that I would finish at Illinois would not satisfy the National Weather Service requirements for employment in the future. So that's hold that thought for later. So one thing that I thought was very important while I was going to school to obtain my degree in meteorology was to supplement that education with real world experience because I knew that I wanted to get right out into the workforce after college. I wanted to be an active operational meteorologist. So the first thing I thought of doing was opening the Yellow Pages and just calling the local television station. So that's what I did. I cold called the Champaign-Urbana CBS TV station and spoke with one of the meteorologists there, and they, were very nice about allowing me to come in and do a job shadow. I started out job shadowing, and it kind of turned into a volunteer weather helper during severe weather seasons, and that's a huge thing for any college student or even a high school student if they have the work ethic to consider a local television or other media outlet and see what they can do to be exposed to the weather information through somebody that conveys weather to the general public. So I found that to be a very insightful opportunity. And as I as I got started there, I made a connection with one of their backup meteorologists who was the chief meteorologist at the local, the university public radio station, and he was looking for some student help in his meteorology department. So I ended up picking up a part-time job there and gained some valuable experience in forecasting and broadcasting. I did lots of map archiving, and I wrote some forecasts, and I did some severe weather broadcasting, and I also did some just general weather broadcasting. So that proved to be a very beneficial experience for me as I finished up my degree. That job wrapped up when I graduated. So other supplements that I sought out while I was in undergraduate was I joined the local American Meteorological Society chapter and was involved with that. They held meetings, I think, every month somewhere in the central Illinois area around Champaign, and I always tried to go. And even to this day, I'm still involved with the local AMS chapter here in the Twin Cities. And it's a great way to network with other meteorologists in the industry that are in the area, or even just weather enthusiasts. Even we do have some teachers in ours, so it's a really great group. I encourage any of you who might be interested in expanding that network of meteorologists to look into it. I also had another part-time job as an NCAA tutor for basic atmospheric science courses, which also helped me learn more about how to present weather information to laymen, basically the general public, trying to present weather information without using the big fancy words about vorticity and things like that. So it was very basic, and it was a very good experience. Things kind of culminated at the end of my undergraduate experience with a calling card I had from the CBS station that I was at to call a sales rep from a company in Minnesota called DTN Kavoris at the time. And luckily it worked out. I ended up with a phone call basically with a job offer and got started right away after I graduated at Meteorologics. At the time it was freshly named, or renamed I should say, Meteorologics. So that was in 2003. The company is humongous, has thousands of forecasting clients, and when I started I got trained into the aviation industry group. So I was heavily working on forecasts for airports and airlines and writing upper air discussions and things like that. I was promoted to senior meteorologist in aviation shortly after getting trained in, and the job there was somewhat forecasting factory-ish, I guess. It's known for rotating shifts, holidays, and weekends, and it can wear you down. So after a few years, I was starting to wonder where this was going. It was, it was a fun job, but it was kind of scary thinking about working rotating shifts and holidays for a long time. So just by chance, in August of 2006, there was a local job posting for Northwest Airlines seeking a senior aviation meteorologist, and I was pretty well set for the job. I had an interview, went through pretty rigorous. They had some quizzes and tests and stuff I took, and in no time I was in the seat working right there with the dispatchers and the planners and everything. At the end of 2006, Northwest Airlines at the time was a worldwide expert in the industry of aviation meteorology. Excuse me. They were, I keep saying are, but they were very well known for turbulence avoidance, specifically mountain wave activity, and known for handling special weather operations efficiently at their hubs in Narita, Japan, Detroit, Minneapolis, Memphis, and Amsterdam, Netherlands. In 2008, unfortunately, for those of us who loved our jobs at Northwest, Delta Airlines announced it would merge with Northwest. So my job kind of took a turn away from its base here in its base here in Minneapolis, and they announced that the meteorology department would be based then in Atlanta, and that Delta would merge their meteorology group with Northwest by the end of 2009. And it was a very very hard decision to make. Chose to stay at home. I have two little girls that are currently 6 and 2.5, so it was a good time, I think, to stay home and kind of refocus and think about what to do next. And thankfully, I maintained lots of networking contacts from all former places of employment. It was always a goal of mine to, always keep up contact with people who are you encounter, because you never know when it might work out again to reconnect. And thankfully, a former coworker of mine from Meteorologics had also moved on to another career, and she was working for a company called WindLogix in St. Paul, Minnesota. Um, and she was informed of an opening last summer, and she kept me posted on what was going on. And of course, um, as soon as I was able to get my application in, as soon as I could, I sent it to her boss, and it took a while. The company is known for long, drug out HR processes, but by this time last year, I believe I was receiving a job offer. So it's been just about a year now, and so last November, at the end of the month, I started working there under a 2-year contract position under the Department of Energy project, otherwise known as the Wind Forecasting Improvement Project. And it's essentially uh, a large project that the uh, Department of Energy is funding to basically assimilate more data at lower levels of the atmosphere, not at the surface, but like 40, 60, 80, 100 meters above the surface. And the best place to get those meteorology measurements are from meteorological towers and wind turbines. And since they seem to be, going up like wildfire, especially in the Midwest and Texas, that they felt that that was a good fit and a good way to get that data. So they're funding that project, and WindLogix won the award of the project, and I've been assisting with that project, but for the most part have been just being paid through the project, which is kind of strange, but I don't actually work on the DOE project. They just redirected the work and redistributed the workload among all of the meteorologists that work at WindLogix. So I've ended up actually taking more of a project management role lately. We were developing software for wind power forecasting, lots of things that I never expected I would get into, but I can't say that they're all bad. They're definitely different than what I held previously with my operational forecasting jobs. The nice thing about working at WindLogix is the hours are Monday through Friday, business hours, which is very odd when you become a meteorologist. It's pretty widely known that when you're in meteorology, the weather happens 24/7, 365. So to be able to, get weekends and holidays off in the field of meteorology is a pretty good perk. So it is nice, and I actually will be gradually getting more assimilated into their project management department, and going to be attending Six Sigma training, if any of you are familiar with that, coming up here in December. Lots of new and exciting things. We're shifting focus at WindLogix to sell more forecast technologies to power traders, with the thought that wind development, in a sense, is really tapered off. When the company was founded about 12 or 14 years ago, wind development was just getting started, and the company really grew based on wind development over the last 12 years or so. And in the last couple of years, there's been a steady decline in wind development, and now it seems to be that the focus is more of maintaining those wind farms and the power output, and being able to forecast the power generation from those wind farms and understand the turbine performance more now than it ever was before. So our company is trying to get specialized into those kinds of tools. And at this point in my career, I'm not sure that this is going to be my final career destination. Like I mentioned earlier, my coursework from the University of Illinois, the Bachelor of Arts degree, has been kind of a sticking point with possible National Weather Service employment someday. So after talking to some HR representatives at the National Weather Service, I determined what I'm short compared to their expected coursework for employment, and found out that it's basically just an extra atmospheric thermodynamics course. So thankfully I've been able to find one at the University of Minnesota just down the road from my office. So I'm taking that course right now. And thanks to the small world of meteorology, I have lots of networking contacts, especially here in the Twin Cities. There are lots of meteorologists here, and I've got contacts with the National Weather Service, and they're keeping me posted. And I still just maintain the thought that the networking is really key to getting you where you need to go with your career. And I really am a big advocate of networking. And as soon as I learned about LinkedIn, I couldn't join LinkedIn fast enough. I'll put it that way. Keeping up with everybody has really been a good way of not only getting myself into the positions that are putting me down my career path, but I've also been able to turn around and help others as well with job contacts and helping with references and things like that. So if only careers could be forecasted. It's really only time will tell. I'm not sure where things are going from here, but I'm excited about where things are going at WinLogix. But at the same time, I'm trying to also maintain my eligibility for National Weather Service employment, and hope to someday maybe focus on employment there, specifically at the Central Weather Service unit, which is the National Weather Service counterpart that basically works with the FAA. So they really favor former airline employees in those meteorology positions. So I guess with that, I'll entertain any questions if anybody has any questions. I kind of have an interesting story. I've taken lots of jumps and turns in the road, but I have 10 years worth of experience now under my belt, and it's hard to believe. But is it Luis is typing a message?